loving sweetly, or believing just barely. All you devoted, all you disillusioned, if you're wrapped up in romance, caught in confusion. Whoever you are, wherever you've been, your heart might be fractured, but it hasn't met its end. Feel it throbbing for a hope, a change. Time to throw down the pretense and all that's feigned. You gotta let love interfere, soothe and heal. Hold your hopes and calm your fears, and let love interfere. Ooh. My love, could we change the screen? Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Welcome everybody gathering. Say hello in the comments. I'm just singing my song, Let Love Interfere. We'll welcome our guest, Flamy Grant, momentarily. Verse 2. Well, it's the wisdom of the sage and the way of the seer. Love is the weaver and the wheel. Love is the longing, love the contentment, the thirst and the drink, the quenches it. You gotta let love interfere, soothe and heal. Hold your hopes and calm your fears, and let love interfere. Ooh. Oh, I gotta let go, release my resistance. The channels of my heart are clear. I gotta let go, release my resistance. The channels of my heart are clear. Always got something to prove, somewhere to be. Here there's no ladder climbing, no lofty tears. The place where earth and heaven meet. All your restraints burst at the seams. Will you let love interfere? Come closer, come near, as the rains raise the streams to wash away the weirs. Let love take you from here. Ooh, 'cause love is love is love is love is love, so let it be. Hey, love is love is love is love is love, so let it be. Oh, love is love is love is love is love, so let it be. Hey, love is love is love is love is love, so let it be. Yeah, let it be. My friends, welcome to this Pride edition of Storydwelling, Heatherlyn's Storydwelling LOVEstream. I'm Heatherlyn, Minister of Magic, and I'm grateful to welcome you here tonight to our Storydwelling show. Absolutely, Storydwelling is a show. Obviously, here we are. It's also the name of an album I released over a decade ago, but most importantly, Storydwelling to me is a personal practice that I have been carrying into my life, taking on the road around the country and the world, seeking to practice storydwelling, cultivating a courageous and compassionate curiosity for ourselves and one another, recognizing the shaping nature of narrative. So really, I'm welcoming you to this this show, and that is like the first level of engagement. We'd love for you to say hello. We'd love to know that you are here. Say hello in the chat so that we can say hello to you and acknowledge you, and you can interact with us and engage with us. And I'm also really inviting you into this practice. If you would consider this way of being in the world, taking this posture of deeply listening. And story dwelling to me really is an exercise in empathy. So cultivating courageous, compassionate curiosity as we encounter different stories, as the stories that dwell within us interface and encounter the stories that we experience from others. Our bodies often understand the reactions that we're having before we are consciously aware of them. So there could be any number of responses, but two that come to mind for me in particular are resistance or resonance. So when our understanding of our lives, our experience of existence, the way that we make meaning, when those storylines encounter another's, we might experience resonance, which is usually a delightful experience because we find it affirming and validating, or maybe something we've been pondering, thinking about, considering that person's story like makes it come alive for us in a new way. And that can be really exciting. We can also experience resistance, right? When someone who we just like disagree with or we don't understand. And so I'm inviting us, whatever the response is, to suspend judgment and to draw in curiosity and to become compassionate witnesses, not only of the other, but also of ourselves and what's happening with us. So this is a practice of mindfulness and consciousness as well. So thank you for listening to that. I just want you to take a couple deep breaths and connect to your body, because the body is the first responder to these encounters with stories. So go ahead and take a deep breath with me, please. And just find yourself present here in this moment, here and now. And I am excited to welcome some of you, whether you're here on YouTube, Twitch, or Facebook Live. I'm excited to welcome Jamie and Amber and Paul. Good to see you all. If you're here and you haven't said hello yet, please make your presence known. And I am very thrilled to welcome tonight, and please help me welcome with your clap emojis and your heart emojis in the comments, our dear beloved shame-slaying, hip-swaying, singing-songwriting drag queen, Flamy Grant. Please welcome her tonight. Just light up this comment, all right? Nice to see, it looks like Dav Sav for Life from Melbourne, Australia, here with us on Twitch, so that's really cool. Welcome, my friend. Welcome, Flamy Grant. Happy Pride. Thank you for being here for Pride Story Dwelling with me tonight.
Oh my gosh. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me, Heatherlyn.
Oh,
That
you're
was a
welcome.
beautiful song, by the way, that you opened us up with. Thank you for that.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thank you for enjoying it. That's my song Interfere that will be released to the world July 21st. It's my personal pride song, so I'm glad you dig it. Yeah, and I think we share the same producer, right? For our work, our music production, our recording, Ben Grace, our dear mutual friend.
We sure do. Making us both sound amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, my Siri just activated for some reason. I'm not speaking to you, Siri.
I know. Sometimes she's overly attentive, right?
Yeah.
Oh, well, how's your pride? How has your pride been, my friend?
Oh my gosh, it has been wild. For the first time in my life, I can empathize and relate to particularly drag queens is who I tend to hear it from, who by the end of June are just over it, done. They're like, I'm proud, okay? Like, can we just move on? But it's, it's a blessing. Like, I've been so busy this month and doing wonderful things, doing amazing things. And I feel lucky, if a little tired.
Yeah, I hear you. I feel you so much. We are with you in this tonight. Now, I know that you released your debut album last summer, Bible Belt Baby, which has a lot of themes of recovering from religious trauma. And in my view, it is very inspiring, very encouraging, very empowering. I think it shed lights on something that all of us need to be aware of, no matter what our background. I personally resonate because I'm also a survivor of religious trauma. But I would love it if we could back up. Like, what led you to desire to write about those things? What in your story created Flamy Grant? And I know there's a lot there, so feel free to dive in and just let us know.
Heatherlyn, I'm so sorry. My connection must be a little spotty because I missed the question. But I
Oh,
think
sure.
you want
Okay.
me to dive into the background of the record. Is that right?
Well, let's start with yes, Flamy. What in your story created Flamy Grant and gave you the desire to write
Mm.
about those themes in your album? Yeah, and just whatever you want to share. Go ahead.
Gotcha. Yes. Well, Flamy is she's a pandemic queen. She's a quarantine queen.
Mm-hmm.
I for a long time had been interested in drag and had gone out a couple times in drag prior to pandemic, but it was really the the silver lining of my lockdown and sheltering at home and all of that was that for the first time in my life I had extra time to play around with something that wasn't my day job or wasn't one of the many hobbies and passions that I was already cultivating, from
Oh,
music to writing to all sorts of things, my own podcast, that sort of thing. And so
yeah,
I
yeah.
finally had time on my hands during pandemic, like we all did, right? Some
Mm-hmm.
people got their sourdough starters, some people planted gardens. I decided to watch a whole bunch of YouTube makeup tutorials.
Incredible.
And yeah,
Yeah.
so she really blossomed. I already had her in mind prior to pandemic, but
Mm-hmm.
she blossomed really with the start of the lockdown
Mm-hmm.
and just having that space and that time to explore um,
Incredible.
those
Yeah.
impulses and those inclinations that I had always had.
And what were the seed of those inclinations and your imagination for Flamy Grant?
I mean, they go back as far as I can remember.
Mm,
There are photos in my mom's family photo albums of me stomping around in her heels, and I remember getting in trouble
yeah.
for ruining a tube of her
Mm,
lipstick once, and those kinds of things.
uh-huh.
So I'd
Gotcha.
always had the impulse, the draw, towards what
Mm-hmm.
we societally define as feminine,
Mm-hmm.
and um, so I can't even pinpoint that moment. What I can
Yeah.
pinpoint are several moments in my childhood where I realized that I was going to be shamed for pursuing those impulses,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I shut them down most of my life.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of bottled that stuff up, tucked it neatly inside, and just I didn't even think about it, for myself in my own psyche or my own private spaces. Like I just didn't even
Mm-hmm.
consider drag because I just was
Yeah.
so heavily shamed out of
Mm.
that that draw towards what we call feminine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so it wasn't until 30 years later that
Mm.
I finally, with all the courage, the
Mm.
the joy, to really pursue it again.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I feel like what you're describing is, I mean, it's a shame narrative, right? And a lot of us who've come from religious trauma and a lot of our mutual friends, we talk about really unraveling those shame narratives that have so shaped our perspective on ourselves and have been so harmful. And so you talk a lot about deconstruction of that, and it seems like your personal process of undoing the tethers of those narratives and bringing on a new story of authenticity. Your liberation is like so inspiring, and the manifestation of this art form through you.
I mean, I'm the first one who's inspired. You know,
Mm,
I
mm.
I feel like it has to. I feel like it has to be something that inspires you first and foremost. And
Yeah,
if it
yeah.
has gone on, and I do think it has gone on
Mm-hmm.
to inspire other folks, I think that just because of the interactions I get to have as Flamy, then
Mm-hmm.
that's a pretty pretty cool thing. That was such an unintended consequence. Initially,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
I sat down in my bedroom and started painting my face by myself in private.
Mm-hmm.
I had no intention of becoming a performing drag queen. I had no foresight into like the marriage of my music, which I've always done,
Yeah,
and then this new way of performing.
yeah.
I never envisioned any of that coming together. It was just purely like an inner child practice. It was purely just for me,
Mm,
to explore those things, and lo and behold, it
mm.
somehow, right? Like
Yeah. It's so
that's what's
beautiful.
magic and
Yeah.
our yeah, when we are in touch with our own authentic self, like
Mm-hmm.
other people are going to be able to, um, somehow that translates, right? They're able to connect with
Mm-hmm.
their own selves through what you're doing, which is wild.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think being able to bear witness to how you're like redeeming your story, and even naming the practice of like tending to your inner child. So many of us don't know to do that necessarily, right? That something that might be triggered within us from previous trauma is actually that inner child calling for some attending or some nurturing, even though we're grown ups and we feel like we have to adult. So I love that. And there's a few comments here I just want to mention. Hans Melby is saying enjoyed watching Flamy blossom during Heathen Happy Hour. So I think Hans is speaking to the pandemic series that you all were creating.
Uh,
Carl Anderson says, "Hi, Flamy, you look
yeah.
marvelous." Paul Lee says, "Flamy," all caps with a bunch of Y's. And Ariana says, "Hi, friend." Jamie's clapping, and Valerie says, "Hello, Flamy fan." So yeah, good to see you all here. Thank you for saying hello. You are welcome to please make your presence known. We love knowing that you are here. So please say hi and interact with us as you
Hmm.
desire. Flamy, would you tell us a little bit more about your background, about that story? Just like where you grew up, what kind of like what religious narrative was kind of shaping your perspective on life and yourself, things like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I grew up in Western North Carolina.
Yeah.
Asheville, North Carolina was the town, and um, my religious framework was, it's called Plymouth Brethren is the denomination. It's a
Mm.
very fundamentalist evangelical denomination. It's um, like if you took Billy Graham and then moved him even further to the right. um,
Mm-hmm.
Actually, it probably aligns very much with Franklin Graham nowadays. If you're familiar with Franklin Graham,
Mm.
who's Billy's son,
Yeah.
and is much more to the right than Billy ever was.
Mm-hmm.
But it was restrictive in so many ways, not
Mm-hmm.
just in the kind of gender role frameworks that we've already discussed or touched on, but
Yeah.
um, it just it felt like so much of my life was prescribed already by
Mm-hmm.
the the specificity of my faith. Like
Mm-hmm.
because I was being raised as a boy and then as a man, I was expected to have this role of leadership in our congregation,
Mm-hmm.
and that was a thing I never fully stepped into. I was always it always made me really insecure, frustrated, afraid, and um,
Mm-hmm.
man, I just remember times with my papa in particular, who was kind of the pillar of our religious community.
Mm-hmm.
Like he just like would shove me into these roles that I didn't want anything to do with.
Mm.
And
Wow.
but I felt compelled to do it because it was part of my belonging. It's part of how I
Mm.
fit in. The flip side of belonging in a religion
spontaneous song.
You
And maybe
just can't.
maybe you log off and log back on and see if the connection is a little bit better. Yeah. Okay, Jason's gonna text you and we're gonna see if we can work this out.
Nope, I've lost it again. I'm so sorry.
Oh. All right, so we're gonna. Jason is here helping with this show tonight. He's over here and he's texting Flamy to see if she maybe. You know how sometimes things work better when you just disconnect and then you reconnect. So we're just gonna try that to get the flow going a little bit better. When we checked this earlier, it went great. So I'm just gonna play you a song while they kind of sort that out. All right. So I'm Heatherlyn, and welcome to Heatherlyn's Storydwelling LOVEstream Pride Edition, featuring our guest Flamy Grant, the shame-slaying, hip-swaying singer-songwriter, drag queen, one of my favorite drag queens. While we try to reconnect and get a better flow going on, I'm gonna sing you "What Can Love Create?" Eyes of grace, see beauty in this world-worn face. Your unsettling tenderness softens something brittle today. What can love create that wasn't there before? Creative acts of grace, open hidden doors. Oh, what can love create that wasn't there before today? Hey. How we doing? Wanna give it a shot? Eyes of hope, see futures in this beaten frame. Your unshakable trust in me flowers into promise inside. Never knew it could feel so intimate to hear my name. Oh, what can love create that wasn't there before? Creative acts of grace, open hidden doors. Oh, what can love create that wasn't there before today? And let's welcome back shame-slaying, hip-swaying, singing-songwriting drag queen Flamy Grant. Let's see if our connection's any better this time.
Yeah, thank you. I hope so. And that was gorgeous. And you really got my whole little tagline down. Good job.
Yeah, I've been practicing. Oh, well, I wonder.
It's a mouthful. It is a mouthful.
It is. And I had to practice it to make sure I got the words in the right order because they're so similar, which is brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. Shame swaying hips. No, shame slaying hip swaying. Amazing. Would you like to share one of your songs with us? Yeah.
I'd love to.
Okay, cool.
I would love to.
We'll give it a shot.
How I grew up and what my religious framework was like. So I figured I would sing a song that was inspired by how I was brought up and raised.
Yes, please.
In the church I grew up in. And it is called Esther, Ruth, and Rahab.
Cool.
And I do have a quick question for you, though. I should have asked beforehand. There's some salty language in it. Is that okay?
That is completely fine with me. And you have given the parental warning to any who might need it. So there you go. Works for me.
Okay, great. I have I have emoji substitutions that I do when it's not okay. So I have a way to do it. But yeah, we're giving the warning now. There's some salty language. It's just anatomical, and it's nothing that's like gonna scar anybody, but just so folks do know.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
In the church where I was raised, all the women hid their hair with what can only be called doilies made of lace. They sat beside their husbands and they never spoke a word, 'cause public prayer was not a woman's place. But literally any man was welcome to stand up, and for an hour we would listen to them talk. And I guess the lesson there is God would only hear a prayer when it came from a person with a cock. As a kid, those Sunday mornings made me restless, bored, and numb. And my Bible was the one way to pass time. So I spent the hour in search of stories brimming with suspense, and I found Esther, Ruth, and Rahab were sublime. Castaways who outwitted and outplayed an immigrant ancestor to the incarnate divine. Everyone has a star that lights their way. We see our paths by someone else's shine. Well, Esther, Ruth, and Rahab, they were mine. Every Sunday I would find a brand new story of a girl who made some patriarch meet his match. They were painted as conniving, but it wasn't hard to see. Secretly, most men just fear the snatch. Now Deborah's military mind, it brought peace for 40 years. The witch of Endor, she saw right through Saul's charade. Of course Eve said, screw the system, I am chasing after wisdom. Rachel wouldn't let herself be played. Now Jezebel sure gave him hell, but she wasn't scared to die. If you're with JL, think twice when you recline. That's a deep cut. The only reason we have Moses is 'cause Miriam was there to keep his petty ass in line. Castaways who outwitted and outplayed an immigrant ancestor to the incarnate divine. Everyone has a star that lights their way. We see our paths by someone else's shine. Well, Esther, Ruth, and Rahab, they were mine. And when they talk about the hero, they always mean Elijah, Abraham, or Dave. But Esther, Ruth, and Rahab for me were just as big. I wanted to be like them, so I bought myself this wig. My church and scene, but their own holy book betrayed that lie. 'Cause in those pages you'll find badass rebel warriors and queens, prophetesses, witches, whores, and wives, all causing scenes. Every woman in the scripture smashed the norms to smithereens. So it's a good thing when a girl learns how to fly. And that's one truth from the Bible I'll hold on to till I die.
Yes, Flamy.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness. You all welcome to Heatherlyn's Storydwelling Love Stream Pride Edition with my favorite drag queen, Flamy Grant, just sharing with us Esther, Ruth, and Rahab. Did I get it right?
That's right.
Okay, from Bible Belt Baby,
sure
Flamy Grant's debut album release. Awesome. So, we're just gonna go with this. Like, the connection is what it is, and it's a little bit out of our control. So, the song came across beautifully. So, thank you for sharing that. And there's a few things that. Oh, what was that?
Oh, I was just saying, good. I'm glad the song came through.
I know, amazing.
I'm gonna try my headphones and see if that helps at all.
Okay, cool. Appreciate seeing you all here as well. Want to say hi to Carol and Linda. This is really great. I'm glad you all are here. Thanks for tuning in and celebrating Pride with us today with our dear beloved Flamy Grant. I love that song. That song is so sweet and tender. And even though it is, you've got salty language and some zingers in there, and just really some potent lines about, smashing the norms to smithereens. It also feels to me like just deeply nurturing to the feminine in me. So thank you for that, Flamy. Like, it makes me just almost tear up, and and I feel like I have been learning to fly for 4 decades and still working at it, to get free and feel validated in my voice and my presence. So I think I'm gonna need to listen to that song a little more often, frankly.
It nurtures the feminine in me too. I get it.
That's so sweet. I noticed that so I love how you worked your story into it with you wove your story with these biblical stories together, which is amazing. And you were talking about pretty much any guy could stand up and you were expected to listen to him for like an hour. And you were talking earlier about the expectations on you that just didn't really fit your soul or what you're calling. And I'm just curious, what would you say to folks today as I believe, the cis heteronormative patriarchal standards and norms are being dismantled, and so a much more expansive expression of a gender spectrum is happening right now, And for those who maybe are curious about that or not sure about it, what word would you say to them? How would you encourage them to maybe open their hearts to that more expansive expression of gender in our world today?
Yeah. I try not to engage with a lot of people who have specifically online is where I encounter so much of the backlash to gender expansiveness, right? And I try not to engage with that so much because when I have in the past, it's we're talking past each other in those kinds of spaces. Where I find that I can actually have an impact is, first of all, through the music. People hear the music and they get intrigued and want to have a conversation. Art does that. Art can open us up to conversation in a way that that just like talking to each other in virtual spaces in particular just never seems to get us there. So the music does. And then the other thing, the other frequently is when I'm performing live, talking to people after the show, and in particular, a lot of times it's a cis straight man who will come up and just have something to share about a profound experience they had during the performance, which it blows my mind, because it's not it's not the intended audience. It's not the it's not what I expect to happen. I expect that I'm going to connect with other queer people first and foremost. Like that's where I've found so much healing is in the queer, and I do what I do mostly for queer folks, because I love us and I want us to been loved and to see ourselves represented, right? So that's a lot of what my intention. And I find that I have these interactions with people that I'm not thinking about when I'm writing the song or when I'm preparing the set or anything like that, and it's caused me to reconsider a little bit that I do bring, because those conversations, they're not, they're rarely easy. In fact, I would say they're almost never easy, but they're the ones that when you witness that moment of somebody actually being a little bit open to gender expression that is not their norm, their understanding of the norm. It's a really cool experience to be able to be a part of that. And I think that if we can just listen to each other a little bit more than we are trained to do by our devices, really, really, really good conversations can happen. And I'm not, it's not like, let's change everyone's mind, right? Let's get everyone to believe like I do. Evangelical, the whole point of being an evangelical, the way we do. And so I have a real strong aversion to that kind of posture in life. And even now that I'm on, whatever side I've moved to on the spectrum, and I don't want to evangelize for like the queer agenda, right? Having an agenda. I do hope and
I might have you.
I do have a lot.
I'm gonna have you recap that because it just stalled out there a little bit.
A lot of
so
hope
you hope
that just better inform people. Oh, yeah. I hope that what I do can help better inform people who don't have a full understanding, right? Like, and even if they don't change their mind, even if they're still mad about me dressing the way I do or performing the way I do, at least maybe they've gotten a little more information about why, right? Because there's so many assumptions from both sides, from all sides. We assume why people are the way they are, and I found most of those assumptions to be wrong about drag queens when I'm talking to people who don't, who aren't in drag culture. So at the very least, I want to give some context to folks.
Yeah. I love that. I mean, I feel like you're talking about this practice of story dwelling, right? Like suspending judgment, drawing in compassion, drawing in curiosity, realizing there's probably more to the story than you've been told or that you've realized or experienced yourself, right? And having an open mind and an open heart, especially to others. And who they are, and even if we don't agree with someone, simply honoring another person's agency and autonomy, simply honoring, like, even if you don't agree or if it doesn't make sense to you or doesn't work for you, simply the nature of living together in loving liberation, or even just freedom, is like honoring another person's expression, honoring another person's way of being in the world. And I do, I think so much about the the weird propaganda against the LGBTQIA community right now, and actually especially trans folks and especially drag queens. And I do believe that your work, Flamy, the way people encounter you and your authenticity without an agenda, because really people do become more receptive energetically when they know they're not encountering an agenda. They're just simply encountering a beautiful human in their authenticity and these cool songs. So cheers to you. Yeah. We love you. And I want to do a little shout out and make mention of those who are also uplifting you. Carl Anderson from Maine says, seems to me Flamy is a role model and an inspiration to a lot of people. Carol is saying hi to Amber, so I love that. Good to see you all connecting. And Toby's here. Yes. Okay. I think we covered it. Oh, Toby says, I loved watching Flamy with Ben and Colby during the pandemic. Thank you for being here tonight. And Ariana loved your song very much. So I'm wondering, would you like to would you like to share another song with us?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
I'd love to.
Sweet.
Sweet. Let's see. I will do one that's not on the record. It's called Fortune Teller, and it's kind of my response to the many conversations that I get. A little bit funny because totally. I can just predict it. I can just predict what's coming, and it's not like I haven't thought through those things. You know, there's a reason I walked away from the branch of faith that I was raised in, and it's because I've thought deeply about that stuff. So this is kind of my response to folks who say, "Hey, girl, let's go get coffee because we need to talk." This is called Fortune Teller.
Awesome.
I'm a medium, I'm a fortune teller. I know every word you're gonna say. I'm a headstrong, lifelong city dweller. I can take you where you're going by the fastest way. We're gonna be okay. Well, I travel time, I'm here from the future. I can show you how this all turns out. I can save you with the data in my computer. We can flourish in the flood and avoid the drought. Yeah, we're gonna make it out. You feel it in your bones, but your head is moving slow. Well, I'm a scientist. I got a method and a measure for observable, reliable, repeatable fact. I'm a decorated educator in the field of pleasure. I've learned a lot of lessons I can reenact. Yeah, I've been keeping track. You sense that I am true. But your heart is split in two. I'm a prophetess, singing my story, a dressed up, effervescent, ethical fraud. But this world ain't ready for an allegory, no. We're still waiting on a literal God. I just smile and nod. You have intuition, and it's telling you the story isn't done.
Y'all are listening to Flamy Grant performing her song Fortune Teller, not on the Bible Belt Baby album, but you should definitely check out the Bible Belt Baby album. Flamy's debut album released last summer, and she is in a massive transition in life and you are doing so many fun things. You're also incorporating your marvelous, brilliant sense of humor. You're creating new kinds of shows. Would you like to tell us all about that and what you have going on and how people can connect and continue to enjoy and share your work with others?
Yeah, thank you so much for directing the conversation this way. I appreciate it.
Yes, of course.
I've got a solo cabaret show that
Mm-hmm.
I call Godless Sheathen,
Mm-hmm.
and I've been doing that now. I've done it a couple times. I've got a date in Nashville in September 15th. Actually, I'll be doing that show.
Ooh.
And then I have a tentative date in Florida. I'm not ready to announce it yet, but it does look like it's going to happen. So that's great. So yeah, that
Wow.
little show it has some legs.
Yes, it
And
does.
I'm very excited about it because it's fun. It's so fun to bring in the comedy, the music, the theater, and the drag and just put it all in one big pot
Yeah.
and stir it up. It's so fun.
Oh, I
So
love
yeah,
it.
I'm doing that, and I'm going to as you alluded, big changes. I'm moving
Yeah.
to North Carolina, which is where I was born. It's why the album's called Bible Belt Baby, and
Mm-hmm.
moving back with my husband in August,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, I'm quitting my day job and I'm making a go at doing this, being a singing drag queen full time. So
Yes.
I would love anyone out there who's got a venue or connections to a venue, or you just like have your favorite bar in your town,
Mm-hmm.
like tell them about me and let's get me to your town because
Yes.
that's that's what's coming. I'm just hoping to tour a whole bunch.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so we know personally firsthand how much of a risk this is, and just honoring your courage and your bravery in answering this call. And I just want to reinforce what Flamy just invited you all to be part of this grassroots movement of what Flamy is about in the world and what she represents to us and for us. So we would love for you to connect with Flamy in all of the spaces. And you have a Patreon as well too, right, Flamy?
I sure do. Yeah.
Yeah. So patreon.com/FlamyGrant.
That's it. Yes.
All
Sorry, I should
right.
have said that.
That's
Thank
okay.
you for knowing that.
No worries. Yeah. So yeah, please connect with Flamy Grant in all of the places and be sure to share her work. And again, I'm just going to reiterate what she just said. As she is moving across the country, as she's going full time, have her back by recommending her to your favorite venue, or if you have a church gathering that would welcome an experience that she has to offer, please be that advocate, be that voice, and be that connector. So yeah, Amber's saying you should come to Icons in Colorado Springs, and Carol's saying love
I
that
want
song
to
so
get to
much.
Colorado so bad and come hang with y'all.
We would love that, Flamy. We have a guest room waiting for you. That would be amazing.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Okay. Anything? I have a couple invitations for folks, but I want to make sure before we kind of like move towards our wrap up, if there's anything else you'd like to share about your story or your work, or any more invitations you have for people.
Thank you. Well, thank you, first of all, Heatherlyn, for hosting this space and just bringing us all together, and your advocacy for art. I greatly appreciate it. I see what you do with your admiring artists account, and with this show, and with just all of
Thank
um,
you.
the fierce, support that you throw behind other artists. So I appreciate that, and I hope you feel it. I hope you feel it too from us, because what you are doing is incredible. I've gotten a little teeny sneak peek at the new album, and it's so good, y'all. I cannot wait for everybody to hear it.
I'm so excited.
I can't just the same invitation, Heatherlyn, that you're putting out, just to support the artists you love. We need a lot of support these days.
We do.
I met a Canadian at a festival that I was at recently, and he was talking about all of the grants that fund his work in Canada, and I was like, that sounds amazing. America don't do that. So we rely on the people who love our art.
That's
so
right.
yeah. Thank y'all for supporting this.
Yeah, absolutely. Here. I have a couple invitations for you all. I am regularly live streaming every Saturday morning, 10 o'clock Mountain, so that's 9 a.m. Pacific and noon Eastern. I call it my Soul Song Saturdays with Heatherlyn. It's live music and mystical musings. It's kind of one way that I'm bringing together various aspects of my journey and who I am. I love all things spiritual and creative, and I am a certified yoga teacher. I don't know how many people know that. So I'm weaving together these practices of presence and mindfulness interwoven with live music. So I would love for you to join me some Saturday morning for Soul Song Saturdays with Heatherlyn. And I would also love for you, what are my other things? My album release. So Flamy, thank you for mentioning my new album, Heatherlyn's Musical Apothecary, is going to be released later this summer. And we are having a big party and concert with a full band and a string section Friday, October 20th at Enigma Bazaar in Denver, Colorado. Enigma Bazaar is called a mystical art bar. It's very cool, and we would love to have you there for our celebration. So please put that on your calendar. Ticket sales will be happening shortly. If you're not local to Denver, I don't know, you can make your way out here if you want to. My voice teacher and his wife are coming from Rock Island, Illinois. They've got their tickets and everything. Story and Tune, Ben Grace, and Karen Thurston are going to be one of the opening acts that night. So it'll be a very special, very, very special celebration, October 20th. So we'd love to see you there. And then I think I had one more thing. Let Love Interfere, the first single off of Heatherlyn's musical Apothecary album with this theme of healing, has my pride song, Interfere, Love is Love. So it's an anthem of just my wholehearted belief in the transformative power of love and the goodness of love in all its forms. So we'd love to see you back here on Saturday morning. Please follow Flamy Grant on all of her spaces. Check her out on all the socials. Subscribe to Flamy Grant wherever you stream your music. And she's back, I think, for one more song. I guess we're live. Would you like to try to do one more song?
Hurry up, get it in.
There's several people here, so we could give it a shot. I can sort of hear you. I can see you. I can see that you're here.
People here, give me maybe. I am here.
You are here.
Sorry.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's no one's fault, right? It is what it is. We're trying to wrap up our Storydwelling Pride Edition with one more song with Flamy Grant. Are we going to do it? Are we going to do it? The suspense.
I can hear you more consistently now, so hopefully you can hear from me.
Yeah,
Is that
you want to go
am I
for
coming
it?
through?
Let's go for it. Let's do it. Let's do one more song, Flamy Grant.
Let's go for it while we got a connection.
Okay.
This song's called "Desire of Your Heart," and it's my inner child work song. How long have you waited for me? How many seasons, how many stormy skies moved in a time-lapse picture as you let the rain mask your tears? How many fools tried to write your story? How many names did they give you before we finally drove out of the county, drove away from the only town we knew? There was nowhere the bastards wouldn't try to drag you down. It was so rare to find a place where you could dream out loud. But even though there were years we spent apart, I have always been the desire of your heart. How long did the lies deceive us? What was the truth that finally freed us from? When did you realize you're find a place where you could dream out loud? But even though there were years we spent apart, I have always been the desire of your heart. When they see you now, they sigh and shake their heads in shame. It's like they need to flag you down to say how much you've changed. But we both know I was there right from the start, and this has always been the desire of your heart. Fingers crossed that went through and we're still live.
Yes. Well done, Flamy Grant.
I don't know, maybe not.
It's good. It's good. Yeah. Cheers. Thank you so much for your presence here tonight.
I don't
Flamy.
hear or see you, Heatherlyn. But I see that there are lots of people still here, and I hope I'm not talking over you. But thank you so much for having me. This was wonderful, and I'm sorry that if it was my connectivity issues that created a problem, but
no apology.
I love you. I love this show.
I love you.
And thank you.
All right, thank you. And we thank you all for coming here tonight, and we'll see you again next time. Peace to you and yours. Take care.